hit that button, and we gonna hit talk. Wait a minute, with guests. All right, y'all, what's happening? All that good stuff. Voch Lombardi, the Doski Woski. I got a pocket full of Peasky Whiskey, but you got to pay for it this time. You know what I'm saying? We here. We got brother Akoye Media tuned in with us.
What's up, man? What's up? Good to be seen. Good to be above ground, man. I'm loving it. And we in 2021 because 2020 was a mother. So I'm happy to be here, man. Appreciate it. Appreciate you.
This is what I don't like about us, Akoye. Like we both agree that we could do a lot more shows together than we plan on. But both of us hit each other with the, hey man, whenever you're ready.
Right. Just open ended. But that's it's hard to nail down. But I'm working on that this year anyway. I'm too right brain to be like organized enough to create consistent content. So I gotta start incorporating that left brain scheduling and organization skills. I got them. I just ain't been in the corporate world in so long I could give a damn. So I got to get it right, man. But you're exactly right. We leave it too open-ended. We should make it a little more concrete because number one, the people deserve it, and two, I love doing it. So let's have fun. I always have fun talking to y'all. You, Law, Foots, everybody, man. So yeah, this is one of my favorite. I never turn it down because I always love talking to y'all, man.
Oh man, that's man, that mean the world to me. We gonna get this going. But just a little housekeeping first of all. I'm dropping film after this on the YouTube. So those of you that have been waiting on the college film coming out, I'm dropping the film session. I'm not gonna tell y'all who it's gonna be because you should have your notifications on and you will see it when it happens. I'm gonna be doing film on Patreon tomorrow. We're gonna be watching more offensive linemen there. So if you want to see some offensive line, go on patreon.com/VochLombardi. The link is in the description. We're gonna get Akoye on the Patreon because I learned something new about Patreon. I ain't even. Let me write this down. Let me write this down. Talk Akoye Patreon, because when I get a little game, I like to spread the game around. We're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that. But right now, we're going to talk about this new Cowboy news that have been coming out. I know this channel is balls deep in the draft season, but when Cowboy news happen, we've got the boogie on it. We got Dan Quinn. He's our new defense coordinator now. He is the former head coach of the Falcons. Went to the Super Bowl with them. Lost it, but he went. And he was a defensive coordinator in Seattle. He went 1-1 in them Super Bowls. So he's been to the house. He's been to the dance. I've watched some film on it. I kind of want to get your thoughts first, so we just gonna boogie back and forth just like that.
Right. Number one, man, I think it was a good pickup for where we are right now as a team, our depth chart and so on. The argument for everybody, especially with me this offseason, was like, are we ready to go 3-4? And should we go 3-4? Do we have the personnel for it? And I know I felt like we did. I still feel like we do. But, I'm a 3-4 guy. Mm-hmm. But I'm looking at it from this organization standpoint. I feel like Jerry and those guys in the front office just felt like with who we already have under contract and the way we're set up, we need a guy that can come in and run the 4-3 cover 3 scheme that we were trying to run with Chris Richard, but run it correctly without the double talk of Marinelli versus Chris Richard. Whatever dynamic went wrong with that, we did have a better ranking defense under that scheme. It just wasn't as aggressive as we'd like it to be because maybe there were some missing pieces. Maybe it was Salah over in San Fran who was making that Legion of Boom work, or Dan Quinn. You never know. But it seems apparent that Jerry's decided to do away with the experimentations at this point and stick with 4-3 because I don't think Quinn's going to come in and change his mind and suddenly be a 3-4 guy. Sure. And I don't mind it because the reason I like 3-4 is because it's aggressive. And and Dan Quinn runs an aggressive 4-3 scheme, an attacking 4-3 scheme, not just sitting back playing cover 3 all day. So I like that. And we know because they gave us fits and give us fits almost every year.
What I will say that it's a fine medium between what we was getting with Nolan and what we was getting with Rod. When I went back and watched some of his film when he was DCing, not head coaching, because I understand that people want to say, well, Voch, the Falcons defense was terrible or whatever. Yeah, but he paid somebody else to do that. Like somebody else's job was to be DC. He did play call responsible. We'll get into that a little bit. But when I went back and I looked at him, so when we looked at what Rod was doing, we was like, one gap, bust ass, go get it. You know what I mean? When it was Nolan, we started off, and I think this is what they wanted to do, but they wanted to 2 gap. which is we gonna punch, we gonna read, adjust, get rid of guys, and go.
Yeah.
I think that what we gonna end up getting with Quinn, I don't know for sure, just my analysis based on what I've been seeing, is we're gonna get a medium to where we're gonna penetrate gaps, but we're gonna be a lot more patient when getting upfield. To where with Marinelli was like, we're gonna tackle the running back to the quarterback. I think now is gonna be more so get through your gap, break down, and then make your decisions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And as I said, like I feel like the personnel kind of lines up too, because everybody who's trying to get an understanding as to what we're going to do with Jaylen or LVE, those guys. If you look at Deion Jones, like he's not one of your bruisers as a middle linebacker. He's more of an athlete than he is a guy that's going to come and just destroy, on his way to the ball carrier. That's not his thing. He's a slasher. Right. And if Quinn can come in and get us some anchors up front, I think he likes guys that can like anchor down up front. He's not really, I don't know. I had to watch more film on him. I don't want to just give like a solid assessment yet, because I'm going to go rip him apart. I'm going to rip everything he did for the last couple of years apart in a second. But what I can say though is every time we played them, they gave us fits with their front four. Right. They didn't blitz as much when they played us. So he likes guys that can his front four to be able to stop the run, but also, as you just said, be patient on their way to the quarterback and like contain. You know what I mean? So that allows Deion and those linebackers to just free flow. I forget the kid's name. I don't know how to say it, but number 54. They got a 54 too.
The big kid in the middle.
Olakum. The dude that went to school with Zeke. Olakum, something like that. He was killing Zeke too. He was killing Zeke this season, right?
Right.
They remind me, they're just two athletic linebackers. They remind me of the guys we have. I think they're a little more aggressive, but I think they're able to play a little faster and more aggressive because, one, they know what the calls are, and two, the defense is set up for them to free flow. They can free flow sideline to sideline and make those types of athletic plays that you saw them make against us. That's what they do. They're not guys that are thumpers. You think less Jeremiah Trotter, more Sean Lee-esque. You know what I mean? They're more athletes, and us. They assess rather than thump.
Well, it's not a super far separation from what we do now. And that's what I like about it. When Nolan came in, the Nolan situation was totally different than anything we've been doing. So at least what I'm seeing with what Dan Quinn is going to come in and bring up in here is it's going to be everything that we've seen before. So that gives me a little bit of confidence there. Also, Dan Quinn is a D-line coach. And if we need any kind of help anywhere, it's on the D-line. Plus, that's kind of where we're, I don't want to say youngest at, but we technically the youngest there, right? When we look at the guys on our D-line, they kind of flash in there.
Supposed to be McCoy and Poe got up out of there. If we had Poe, McCoy, and then you got Tang and Gregory's young but not young, so to speak. He's been around a while. But if we'd have had those guys still here and healthy, I think we would have had some age there. Just that the war of attrition got to us.
Gregory not that young, but in football years, he only played 15 games.
Right.
So Gregory,
he's young, but he ain't young. He got fresh legs, but he old.
This is second season, but more so for Tristan and Neville is mostly where I want to see them step up at, and hopefully we'll see how this works in draft season or whatever. Depending on who we draft, we'll definitely have a better idea there. How you think Donovan Wilson fits in this whole thing?
Well, look at how they use Neal. Neal is a striker. He likes hard hitting safeties. That's how Atlanta used Neal. They had him roaming center field, but 15 yards off the ball rather than that single high look. Sort of like that robber technique. You know what I mean? He's always kind of breaking down or crashing down. He's not a guy that you put over the top. Yeah. I believe the kid, forget it.
Hello. Akoye. Snake. All right, Akoye tapped out. So what we're gonna do is while we try to get Akoye back, while we try to get Akoye back, I'm just gonna kind of just go back over my thoughts again. Let me click, boom, back to Akoye. Let's kick him from the studio, and then come back in here, Akoye, and we will get your ass. All right. So listen, man, I was kind of in this situation, like in this mindset, to where I was like, Well, if you watch my video that I posted yesterday, just kind of talking about the Dan Quinn news or whatever, I kept calling him Gus Bradley, and I called him it on purpose because, most of his credit was attributed, from Gus Bradley. It's kind of one of those Barry Switzer, I'm here because of what Jimmy did situations or whatever. But, the more you kind of pick on that situation, the more you look at it and be like, you know what? You still got to call the right plays. You still got to coach those dudes. You still got to be appropriate in your play calling. So you can have the Legion of Boom, but if I'm calling the plays, then I'd be terrible. Now, we don't have any of those boom people, right? We don't have any of those guys. So I do think it's going to be a situation where you basically going to live and die by your talent. But I don't think our goal is to get to any kind of Legion of Boom status. I don't think we're ever going to be the number one defense in the league. It'll be nice to have the number one defense in the league to go along with the number one offense. But we only need this defense to be as good as our offense needs us to be. You see what I'm saying? So in a situation where, first of all, I think that we're more talented on defense than the Falcons are. So let me just go ahead and get that out there. The Falcons got Grady Jarrett and a bunch of dudes living off old bodies. Honestly, in my opinion, that's how I feel. Deion is cool. But I think just across the board, we have a little, I say a little, I mean a little more talent than them. D-Law is a player for you. Randy's a player for you. I think Tristan is going to come back and be a player for you. Neville's going to continue to develop. I think these linebackers aren't terrible. You know what I mean? Like they aren't great, but you have to say something for how once upon a time those dudes were good. Once upon a time, those linebackers, we were looking at Jaylen and Van Der Esch like they were a grand little pair of linebackers, right? So just all of a sudden, what happened, right? Like what happened to those guys? I don't think they just fell off a ledge and just don't know how to play football no more. I just think something structurally happened to where those guys aren't who they were anymore. So listen, I'm not expecting Dan Quinn to come in here and all of a sudden walk on water and just be something that we never seen before. But I just think take what you have and just do what works with it. You'll be fine, man. And the DBs, we'll just cross that road whenever we get there. Brother Akoye, that dial up got you, didn't it?
Yeah, man. I got that. What you got? AOL, America Online. You got mail. I don't know what happened. That joint just said, whoop, and then reset itself. It's back though. I don't know what happened.
We was talking about and I'll just get your thoughts on this. I feel like we have a little more talent on defense than the Falcons do. Like we're not a very talented team, but I think that we got more talent than them in the sense of I got a couple DNs that I feel good about. I got two linebackers that were good once upon a time, but something happened structurally to where just all of a sudden they just not good no more, right? But we've seen them be good before. You know what I mean? You got a young corner in Diggs. I think your safety in Wilson. Wilson's gonna be a dog. We're gonna have to figure out what we're gonna do at the other safety. And you got two promising D tackles that I think could be okay. Overall, we ain't got a Grady Jarrett kind of guy, but they ain't got a D-Law. They ain't got a Randy Gregory. They ain't got a Diggs, really. You know what I'm saying? So in my mind.
Well, I'm glad you left that name out, too, because that's what I was going to ask you.
Antoine Woods?
No. Alden. What do we do with Alden Smith? Because he's like the odd man out in this scheme. Because he's more suited for that 3-4 look. And you notice everybody kind of thought he hit like some sort of slump in the middle of the season, and it wasn't that. It's just that we went to an upfield sort of scheme midway through, and he stopped performing once we did that. You know what I mean? Well, stopped getting those sacks that he was getting in the beginning of the season. So I think 3-4 was suited, and we was kind of building this defense around his style of play. So what do you think we do with him? Like, I'm thinking we move him inside, 3-tech him or something like that. I don't see him as a defensive end or solely a defensive end in this style. Maybe we use him like we used Crawford and get Crawford less of those snaps. Yeah, I could see that. Or a rotational guy, but I mean, not rotational, but you moving him around like a Swiss Army knife, so to speak. Right. Sometimes he's at left end, sometimes he's right. He's spelling guys, and he can play that 3-tech when you need him to.
Well, Alden was the only one that knew how to two-gap. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was the only one who knew how to do it. And they eventually did make the changes or whatever, but I would love to see Alden as a full-time 3-tech. If he gonna be walking around at like 280, 285, then just line that dude up in B gap and let him be quicker and shiftier than guards, and we'll just move on from there. The problem with that is I think we got super hype on Alden because he got 3 sacks versus Seattle, and that ain't a good D line. I mean, that's not a good O line to be just calling yourself. I should be impressed because I got sacks on these guys. So if we're gonna keep Alden, we need to play him somewhere where he fits. Now there's this situation, right? If you want to look at how Dan Quinn ran things, if you look at how they use Bruce Irvin, I think that's how you could use Randy, just as a stand-up guy. Even if we in a 4-man front, even front, you can still just have him on the edge, backside, right? Not front side, but just a weak side standing up rush dude. Then D-line,
like a 3-3.
Yeah, then D-line, and your strong end could be a guy like Alden, like a guy that's playing strong end but 4-eye, kind of like Bennett. You know what I'm saying? Just I'm a quicker, bigger dude.
Well, what do you do in that event? What do you do with Tank? Because I'm looking at Tank as the strong side guy. So what do you do with Tank in those? He's just rotating out on those plays.
Well, so you can leave Tank on the end, but still make Alden your 4-eye guy. Because even also too, watch this. If Randy's your stand up outside Sam dude, then Alden can be your right defensive end. He can be that guy. You know what I'm saying? So. I think we got options. I was pleasantly surprised. If y'all got Game Pass, I think Game Pass still free. If y'all got Game Pass,
I don't think so.
Not no more.
I think I paid for it. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I paid for it this year.
Well, get you a coffee mug and gather some quarters from people that's walking past you at the Salvation Army line.
Get you some Game Pass, man. Watch some film.
And you would be surprised how many different fronts they lined up in. It wasn't just regular 4-3. They had a lot of different looks in there, and I felt pretty good about that. So, just where you think we at talent wise? We kind of got off on Alden or whatever, but talent wise compared to Atlanta, and what do you think he can do with the talent when he gets?
I mean, honestly, I think we're similar, and maybe even better in some cases. I think we give our corners a lot of hell. We do, but I like Cheeto. I still like Cheeto. I don't know what we're going to do with him this offseason. It's going to be a question about that. But Cheeto, I think Cheeto and Diggs together is better than AJ Terrell and was it Isaiah? I forget what his name is, but kid from I think it was from Wake Forest or Purdue, one or the other. He was in a, you know what I'm talking about, Isaiah,
the tall, long kid,
tall kid from the other side of the field.
Yeah.
But I think we're more talented as far as our corners are concerned. I think Wilson, as we just talked about, will develop into that that premier striker in the league, sort of like those Jesse Bates and the Jamal Adams of the world. I think he has a well-rounded game. So I think we're matched up as far as safety is concerned, strong safety is concerned. Our weakness is at free safety, and I don't think they had a great free safety either. So talent-wise in the secondary, we're pretty deep. We just need a different scheme that kind of complements these guys, and maybe a guy who can move these guys around and get them into more of a defined role. Yeah. Because I did like the idea that they came up with when they said these guys are just DBs, but liking it on paper and liking it in theory when they're talking about it versus liking it when it's applied, they're two different things. Like, it didn't work very well because you had guys like Worley who you're asking to do so many things that they do a little bit. They're masters of jacks of all trades, but masters of nothing. I would like them to be a little bit more defined in their role, and I think they get better when we do that. So I think we have better talent than we even know we have. Sure. Even with our linebackers, we have 2 first-round talents at linebacker with Jaylen and LVE. They are first-round talents as far as athleticism and prototypical appeal, but as far as application of skill, they don't. That's where we have a disconnect. Yeah. So if he can come in and shore that up, we have a very talented defense if you use them correctly. That's just how I feel. Tank Lawrence included. We already named Gallimore and Hill. I love what Tristan Hill was doing before he went out. I loved it. Tristan, you say we don't have a Grady Jarrett type of guy. I'm not going to say Tristan is that guy, but Tristan is a dog that's willing to put his life on the line for the ball. So I like that about him. And then Gallimore, he seems to be like a nice he's like a tank, a little anchor, man. He reminds me a lot of Malik Collins, but he's an anchor. He's a guy that's just gritty. Both of them. So I like them both. Even if we didn't go after a defensive tackle in the draft, I would be fine with it if we went and shored it up with a veteran that has a little bit more tread on his tires than McCoy did. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that was the right move, just wrong guy. But talent-wise, I think we're fine. We need some pieces. We need some veteran pieces to shore it up. And I wouldn't be surprised if he goes to the well, where he either goes and picks up some guys like some guys from Legion of Boom. Maybe KJ Wright if he's out there this year. I don't think he's going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
An older guy. Or some of the talent that he had over in Atlanta. So you might see some of those guys that are free agents this year come transition over, so they can kind of usher in his scheme on the field. That's what I think we're missing here.
I see somebody in the chat box kind of disagreeing with you in terms of that we aren't really that good in the secondary, but this is where I'm at. I'm a firm believer of everybody on your team ain't got to be Pro Bowlers.
No, and they're not gonna be.
So in my mind, we can win with what we have at corner. When I watch us give up big plays, you're gonna get big plays. Like 24 points is a good defensive performance for this team. If you can hold somebody to 21
in this era, that's pretty good. Period.
So in my mind, what we can't have, Akoye, is somebody rushing for 400 yards. You see what I'm saying? We can't have a team doing that. We can't come back, beat the Browns, and Odell Beckham beat us on the reverse. So what I want to do is just shore up the run game. If we get better in the run game and make teams throw, you want to know something I hate, Akoye? Watch this. Watch this nuanced football thought. Voch, why don't we have more sacks? Because teams keep running the football. If we stop the run, they'll throw more. If they throw more, we'll get
after a quarterback. If you don't have a lead. Number one, we didn't play with a lead in the first half of this season. Mm-hmm. Period. So that lets you know, period, that we need to stop the run. You already know we didn't play with a lead, so we couldn't dictate games. Mm-hmm. We have a bunch of pass rushers, and they couldn't get upfield and just abandon the run or stopping the run on the way to the quarterback, because they had to be honest. When you keep a team honest, play actions always work, bootlegs work, because they have to respect the run, because the run had been gashing us so bad. Yeah. They had to everyone up front had to respect it. So they were biting, and then it's a domino effect. Your linebackers are getting bodies on them because those blockers can get to the second level, because they have you hesitating and trying to react after the snap rather than pre-snap. Yeah. And then your secondary is trying to play hero ball and make up for what's happening up front. That's where you get these big plays and a lot of the confusion from, when you're not, like you said, when you're not stopping the run. When you trust the guys up front, or you have a guy like Snacks or somebody up front that is just a black hole when it comes to the run, you can kind of play free and do what you need to do back there. So the secondary, are they great? No, but it's a lot easier to deal with a quarterback when the pressure is on him to perform, and what he's doing. He's throwing the ball. The down and distance. That when they run that play action, it's not going to work. We know that because we've tried it. Right. We try to play action when the run's not working, and we get our quarterbacks killed when we do it because nobody's respecting it, because they know our offensive line was beat up. We know that. So you can challenge it. I get it. But talent-wise and putting these guys in position. Anthony Brown, do I love him? No. But he's a striker. He tackles very well, has good speed, pretty good in zone. I'd say he's a lot better in the zone than he is in man. In man, he can stay with you. But, again, when we're off balance and you have guys that are off balance trying to figure it out post-snap, you're going to see these things happen that we've been seeing over the last 3 years, not just last year. So I give them more credit than the stats and the film would give them due to the circumstance. So I get what I can get what you're saying when you challenge that as far as their talent is concerned. But watching the player and watching their capabilities and seeing that we never use them in those regards, or never gave them the ability or the opportunity to even play fast. Like, you can say Minka Fitzpatrick is the man, right? Sure. But you also know that TJ Watt's up front wreaking havoc, so Minka can jump things. He know that quarterback is not going to be able to get through every progression because of what's happening up front. So he can play a little bit more riskier and take a little bit more risk, because he knows if he sees a quarterback look to his first progression and he lifts that foot up, he knows that he's not going to have that much time, so he can jump to that second option and get there and pick those shots off or pick those passes off because he doesn't have to be as patient because he knows it's chaos happening up front. It's chaos going on up front. And when we have that organized chaos happening up front and putting pressure on our opposing offenses, the secondary benefits from that. When we're just getting run through up front, it dejects everybody. Everybody's dejected and depressed. And also you had the element of the communication. Obviously, when Seattle was killing us earlier in the season, when they killed us, we beat ourselves in that game. Obviously, he wasn't, Nolan wasn't calling those plays that way anyway. It wasn't drawn up that way. You know what I mean? Right. For both Thomas and Woods to both be in the same on the same hash and crashing down at the 15-yard mark where the dude streaking up top, and then Diggs is looking for help inside, and there is none. You know what I mean? That's not how it was drawn up. So you have communication issues, then you had issues up front with the run. If you can shore up the run, I think, like you said, I think we can give up some. You're going to give up plays. You're going to miss. You're going to guess wrong when it comes to the back end. But you can erase a lot of that when the quarterback is under duress at all times. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
And you can't run the ball.
Yes,
so you'll see a different secondary, a more opportunistic one. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
No, you good, player. Yes, 1100 dropped the deuce in the super chat. He says, "Can't beat him, join him." I don't know what that means, but I agree since you dropped the super chat, player. Whatever that means. Whatever it is that it means, sir. Yeah. I agree with you. Kilgore dropped the 5 in there. He says, Voch, should I be judging Dan Quinn over his time with the Falcons? I'm asking Brother Akoye that. We're gonna get back into it. Appreciate you. And Lamont dropped the tray in the super chat. He says, if only we had a beast like Red Bryant. Versatile. What school he play for? What song he sing? I don't know what that is. I was born in 92. I don't know who Red Bryant is. All right. But Brother Koye, should we be judging Dan Quinn over his time in Atlanta?
Yes and no. It depends on what aspect you're talking. Like the same way I judge McCarthy, he's been there. He has that experience. Quinn has experience as a head coach, and I always like the idea of taking a head coach or a guy who was a head coach and moving him to a coordinator position, because when you have that micro look or macro look on a team, like you've seen it from the bird's eye view, when you're then asked to come back to that focus of just coordinating, right? I think they bowled a little bit better because they're not asked to do as much when they're just a coordinator, and you have a guy who's already won at the top level. So I like that aspect of it. So if you want to judge him that way, of course. But if you're judging him as a defensive coordinator, judge him at his time at defensive coordinator, sure, not as head coach. Because as you said, you answered this kind of earlier when you said he wasn't a defensive coordinator in Atlanta. So obviously there's somebody else he hired to do that type of work. Yeah. So you can't judge him solely on that, because that's like judging McCarthy on how our defense ranked this year.
Sure.
What the hell he got to do with he's the head coach. You could say he put Nolan in place. You can judge him that way, but you can't say he's calling the plays and he's the reason that the defense is bad, because that's not his job. So yes and no.
Sure. Law Nation in the chat box coming through, showing some love. Everybody go over on his channel. Not right now. Finish watching us.
All right.
I don't care what Law doing right now.
Law got like 5 screens on right now. He probably on this show somewhere right now.
But go over there and sub to Law Nation while he don't leave the show, but go over there and sub to Law Nation, check his stuff out. Also sub to Akoye Media, check his stuff out, and I'm Voch Lombardi. Okay. So listen, brother Akoye, this don't mean that we got to deal with no Earl Thomas talk again, do we?
I certainly hope not. I hope not. I feel like that ship has sailed, and I never really, I don't know. I was on board to a degree. Like, he's a talented guy. He's fiery and talented. So of course he can help a team. But I always pay attention. Like, there's a reason that guys have either problems staying in their home or finding a new one. And obviously, with a team that's kind of disheveled and in disarray, you want a veteran, but you want a veteran guy that's less of a, I look at Earl as like more of a distraction rather than a unifier. He might fire you up. He might get those guys fired up, and they might play a little more aggressive, maybe a little too aggressive. But I don't look at him as the guy that's coming in like sort of like a Richard Sherman did with San Fran, coming in and just teaching young guys how to prepare and how to win at this level. We needed a guy like that. It's not like they grow on trees, but Earl Thomas was never really that guy to me because of the way he left Seattle. I didn't think it would be a good fit for Jerry, like him walking into the tunnel and saying, "Hey, take me next year."
Right.
bad optics there. Then him putting, excuse my, I just did it, bad optics, but him putting his middle finger up while he was getting carted off the field.
Right.
He might have been passionately correct. Sort of the Dez effect. I love Dez to death, but he didn't do himself a lot of favors due to his passion and his impulses to just say what's on his heart at the wrong times. The reason people said they wanted Eric Reed, same reason he's not here. You know, Jerry, I don't think Jerry wants guys that are like that on the team. So the Earl Thomas conversation, you can start it up if you want, but I don't think it's going to be a reality because Earl is stubborn enough to not just take anything to play for you. And in order to play for Jerry, if you act like that, he's going to need some sort of incentive for himself, some sort of loophole to get you out of here if you act up. He's not giving you guaranteed money when you blow teams up.
Sure. I just sent Law Nation a link. He wanna hop in the party, so we gonna let him on. We gonna let him on. We
I guess it's gonna be a semicircle table. We need not a round one, but a semicircle table. We need Foots for that one, but close enough. Let's get it.
It better not. Foots off. He's off somewhere running miles, getting in shape.
Oh yeah, you already know.
You know what I'm saying?
He a marathon runner, or yogi instructor. You know, super father, all that jazz trumpet player.
yeah. He does everything. Yeah. I saw some people in the chat box say that we should have been looking at Rashard. You know what I'm saying? So, where'd that come from?
I mean, it come from the fact that Rashard, you know, he has the attitude that people like he's that Bill Cowher, get in your face, curse you out.
But look, he was screaming, but they were still getting big plays on him. So what was that screaming doing?
I think it could have been a little bit of both though. Like, you never know what his true responsibility was, and that's why it's kind of hard to answer when it comes to some of these coordinators, because you don't know why and how it's being orchestrated. You had Rod Marinelli, who was the defensive coordinator, and then Chris Richard come in and he's the pass game coordinator, but he's the defensive coordinator / motivator. And like, who was really running that show? You had two chiefs and not enough Indians in that picture, in my opinion. So you could look at it from that angle and say, yeah, maybe he got a bad break. But, you know, I feel like we saw that show, and I wouldn't want to be mid-season feeling like, oh, we was right the first time. So I'd rather start fresh. That's just me.
I think just because we realized that Nolan wasn't the guy, like, Chris just wasn't the guy neither.
No.
You know what I'm saying? And
it was too vanilla.
Yeah. And I mean, that's fine, man. You just gotta come to grips with the last three guys. just wasn't the guy. So let me ask you this too, though, because this is interesting, and I have another take on this that we can get into. What's your idea on the hiring process, that we just kind of roll in, find a name that we like? Oh, I like Dan Quinn because he's a name, and then like a day later, Dan Quinn's the guy. Like in my mind, Akoye, I was watching the playoffs, right? And it happened on two separate occasions. It was the Rams defense and it was the Colts defense. And some dude made the play for the Colts defense. I'm like, I have no clue who that human is. And in the Rams, some dude on their team made a play. I'm like, how come on my defense is the only people that's making the plays are the
names,
the names that I like, you know what I'm saying, that I can resonate with? How come our miscellaneous players not out here making, you know what I'm saying, making some kind of plays?
That's a great point.
So in my mind, Akoye, if I let you go, in my mind, I want my defense coordinator to be able to call a defense and to call a situation where you can be good regardless of the guys that's out there. And then when we add DeForest Buckner, your defense goes top 5 out of nowhere. Right. You know what I'm saying? But you can still get good reps out of the archery kid that I never heard of. Or 100%. Like Basham that was drafted like 4th round or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's how you know, if you like, for those who are trying to assess scheme, that's how you assess your scheme in the first place. How well is your depth playing? Like, how well is the guy that you don't know? How do they play? If they don't play very well, then that's how you assess your scheming and your coaching. They're not coaching these guys up, or the scheme doesn't fit these guys, either or. So I get it. If guys are playing out of position, or they playing in a place where they're just uncomfortable and like a fish out of water, you're not going to see them making plays like Darius Williams was making over in with the Rams and stuff like that, right? You would think it would be Jalen Ramsey killing it, but you know, it's like Russell Wilson's kryptonite was number 31 for the last year and a half, right? Why though? Why? Because these guys understand their assignment and they're put in position where they're able to play fast and hard. Like they don't have to think as much. So that shows how well you're coached up. And I feel like our guys obviously weren't coached up correctly. Even when you look at the Richard regime or era, I feel like that did them more damage mentally than anything, because they weren't asked to do that much. It was the same thing over and over again, just a new wrinkle here, new wrinkle there, but same thing over and over again, right? So then when you get a guy like Nolan, and it's a disservice to him, it's a domino effect, because when he comes in, he's asking them to do a little bit of everything, because he's like, these are professionals. You should know how to break down a playbook and understand what your role is in every situation within it, simply. But because they were never asked to do that much, it was like taking third graders to the 10th grade. They don't get it. There's steps that need to be taken, and you can't shortcut a shortcut, man. So there's steps that need to be taken in order to get to that level, and we obviously weren't being coached in that way. So we were only good at one thing, and that was, cover one or cover three. That was pretty much it. So it made it so that defenses can come in. Opposing offenses can come in and take advantage of us because they knew our game and we had nothing else to go with. It's like a pitcher with just a great fastball. Once we know that, you don't got a curveball, you ain't got a changeup, you ain't got a knuckleball, you ain't got nothing else. It's a wrap, you know. So that's where we were defensively. I know, but the reason you weren't seeing those guys flying off the ball because they don't know what the hell they're doing. You're not flying off the ball if you don't know what you're doing. If I don't know how to work my mic, I don't care how well I can talk. I mean, you're not gonna get a good delivery out of me, right? Fair I need enough. To learn how to work what it is that I'm doing first, and then I can just flow. And they couldn't do that in the last 3 years. They weren't doing it. And when they were, it was when we were running a vanilla scheme that, it worked for a time. It worked for a time. But once you look at film, it's just like a new quarterback. Young quarterback kill you year one, year two, the film catch up to you. And the film caught up to us when we played the Rams in the playoffs. That was the beginning of the end of that, cover three experiment.
But how about this though, Koya, in the middle of the show, coming to the ring, Lord Nation just coming down the ramp, you know what I'm talking about? Lord Nation.
What's up, man? What's up with y'all?
What's good, man?
Lord Nation walk in like Goldberg, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? He got to get walked out by like police and security, and sparks hit him, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Lord Nation, what's cracking, sir?
Nothing to it, man. I'm glad we going back to 4-3. I'm glad we got a different coordinator. I don't know what it's going to look like. I'm just sitting back, going to look at this team and say what you said earlier. If all he can do, if he's just better than Mike Nolan, we'll be okay, right? And we got the other part of it right this year, last year, but we had the other part wrong. You said all Mike Nolan had to do, Mike McCarthy had to do is just be better than Jason Garrett. So we got that part right. Mm-hmm. Now we just got to get the defensive side right. So I believe that 2021, if health is everything is okay, I think that we'll be better.
You know what made me sick about Law Nation? He's just such a pro. He's such a look at his background, ladies and gentlemen. See, look at his background. He got the Prescott jersey up there with the
little spinning cowboy head over there,
with the perfectly lit joint. You know what I'm saying? Right. Shining on the 4 with the rotating cowboy helmet. You know what I'm saying?
His camera is crazy crisp
with the duty weapon up under the table. Law Nation made me sick. Look at him.
Law setup cost it's a mortgage. He got a mortgage. So he got a 30-year mortgage on his setup. That's like 40 grand.
All brought to you by the nation, man. I really appreciate y'all with y'all love and adulation.
Go ahead. Law gotta pay taxes for just that corner of his house.
Right.
I write that off.
Hey, this was the same room.
Everything a business expense. That's why he buys so much cowboy stuff.
Right. You write it off for your taxes.
There you go.
YouTube, y'all send me that paperwork so I can just write it all off,
100%, man.
I remember, Voch, when you was here, man, it was all naked wall. Remember?
Like this motherfucker, like this wall, like this naked wall, like this. It was looking like this one in Law Nation.
Right.
100%.
Shouts out to Law Nation, man. That's my guy, man. I'm a get like him one day. It ain't gonna be in this crib, but when I move, in a couple months, my shit gonna be straight. Anyway.
Right.
Law's my guy. E2 Blue is in the chat box, man. Shouts out to him. Go over there and hit the link on his channel as well. But Law Nation, though. So listen. So this probably wasn't. I don't know what kind of hire to call it. I don't know if you call it like a sexy hire, but he is a name that we recognize. In my mind, I wanted to find the Eberflus. You see what I'm saying? I wanted to find the guy that he just coached linebacker somewhere, but around the league they know him as that next dude. You see what I mean? Kind of like Kellen Moore was, right? We heard the rumors about Kellen, and he was just a quarterback coach to us. We knew what he could be, but around the league, hey, yo, that dude's a genius. He's this, he's that. Yeah. And now that it's his time, when Kellen Moore has Dak Prescott, he's been nothing but the number one offense in the league. I wanted that guy. I just didn't want the name that I'm relatively familiar with. Law Nation, did you like you cool with the Dan Quinn thing? Like give me some content, Law Nation.
Man, I'm not gonna be like all cheerleading and pumping for him. I'm just sitting here gonna be looking at it like this. I'm gonna hold off on my grade until after training camp. Because last year I was like, yes, new flavor, new philosophy, hybrid. These guys going to be able to play freely. They're going to finally get out of the system and do this and do that. And we seen the historically bad defense, right? Mm-hmm. So now I'm looking at it like the best defensive guy that was on this team as it relates to coaching possibility. They didn't get him. His name was George Edwards. I really wanted George Edwards to be elevated to be the defensive coordinator. So now I'm sitting back like, oh, so y'all bring in Quinn. Now his resume is a little bit longer, but George earned it better to me. When you look at the 2014 all the way to 2019 Vikings, I wanted some of that. But we're going to sit back and watch because they was ranked what? Top 6, top 5, top 10, no less than top 12 since he been there. So I'm like, you got somebody in-house. So now I want to know whether or not can George Edwards work with Quinn. Now, Mike Fisher, he did report that they might be changing out Al Harris as well as Maurice Linguist. So that's a whole new growing pains that we might have to go through. And we still got to find a defensive line coach.
Right.
In my mind, Law, and I say this all the time on my channel, so if y'all have heard me say this 1,000 times, I apologize sincerely. We just need to not be ranked in the 30s. You know what I'm saying? Or the late 20s. If we can get this defense to 21, if we can get it to 19, Law Nation, because the offense is going to look, let me tell you something. With CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper, you know what I'm saying, and Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott was on pace for throwing for 7,000 yards this year. I don't want him to have to do that. Now, when things get more balanced, that number's going to go down. I understand.
Right.
But I know what this offense is. I can put it up there with the Green Bays. I can put it up there with the KCs. But what Green Bay and KC have, they ain't got spectacular defenses. They have opportunities. They get their turnovers when they can. They just give up 20 to 21 to 24 points, and the offense go out there and score 30. That's how this works. Right. If we get our defense to that's all I can ask for. That's all I want. And go ahead.
No, I agree with you. Mm-hmm. The offense, though, believe it or not, like the offense is the key to this defense because let's not get it confused, right? Mm-hmm. This defense needed the help of this quote unquote prolific offense earlier in the season. If we weren't turning the ball over, putting this defense in bad positions, we're probably not even having this conversation right now.
Sure.
You know, because our record would be much different. I don't even think Nolan would be gone had the offense put this defense in position. And if the offense is going to be a number one offense, it has to be able to carry this team because that's where all our money is. That's where all our talent is, right? You can't be the hamper or the hindrance to this team. So bringing in Quinn is good because he's a veteran guy that can teach these guys, and keeping Edwards is actually one of the other guys that I would have been okay with other than Wade Phillips because I wanted an older, seasoned head coach. I get what you're saying, Voch. You wanted a young guy that was like up and coming, but I don't think they wanted to experiment with a guy that was trying to like figure it out at this point. They wanted something that was tested that they can like, look at and say, this is what we're going to get, so to speak. But the offense is the key. If the offense is scoring early, because you can call them prolific and they have the potential to be, but a lot of those points were coming because Dak had to throw the ball all day. Mm-hmm. He had no choice. We couldn't balance it out, and we were putting our defense in bad positions for most of the year. So the offense is the key to this defense being better, not just getting a defense that can not only give up 21 points, an offense that's not putting the defense in position where they're giving up 14 points without even getting ran through. Like we were giving up the ball in our own territory for the first half of the year. So the defense was getting a lot of blame for things that was really the offense's fault at the end of the day. So if that offense shores up its ball security, this defense would have been better already. This same defense would have been better, even with all the blunders that we had the defense would have been better without we talked about Olokum. He got us 3 times in one game.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
You look at the Seattle game. I think Griffin got an interception that put them in position to score against us. Browns, every game. The Browns, I think they got an interception in our own territory. The Giants got a pick 6 this year, I think, from us. So it's like those things were happening. And we were looking at the score at the end of the day. Like, that's as if you were at home, watching FanDuel and just seeing the score go up. You're not paying attention to what's actually happening. The defense is not the only reason we were giving up points. The offense was.
So it's Terrence Steele's fault, first of all.
You can't spot guys. You can't spot guys 15 points and then say, let's go out here and tear it up. That's why it was like that. Like, so the offense is prolific, has the potential to be, but ball security was the biggest issue. And I think it wasn't a knock on any one guy. I think it was mainly the rust that you usually knock off in training camp. We didn't get to do that. So we were getting the crap knocked out of us early on in the season. And then it's mid-season form as we went forward. Even when we lost Dak, we got a little bit better as an overall team. And I don't mean, scoring-wise. I just mean they started playing a little bit more settled in and a little more calm. And that was because it had nothing to do with Dak going out. It just was mid-season form.
Well,
so Akoye, let me ask you this then.
Go ahead, Lo.
So what would be our ceiling? Because I can see where our offense is going to be at. But what can be our ceiling on the defensive side of the ball? Are we, quote unquote, like the Pittsburgh Steelers, or will we be better?
No,
or will we be
like the Pittsburgh Steelers? How? Like how?
What do you mean?
Like what?
You mean
what you mean?
Like going into next year, would that be our ceiling, like being able to get turnovers, takeaways, or would we be like the? I hate to say this, man, the Seattle Seahawks. Man, it was terrible. They made it, but anybody, if you poll anybody midway through the season, I know for sure everybody would have been like, man, give me Seattle Seahawks. Give me that dream. Give me that ability to have one playmaker on the side of the ball, somebody that's long in the tooth on the defensive front, making some plays here and there.
Because they
but
Cowboy
their offense
fans
was able to carry them.
Because they Cowboy fans and they don't know what they want, and they'll sell their soul for Jamal Adams. And it seems like they was throwing right at that motherfucker. I was watching the game. They was targeting that motherfucker.
Jamal Adams. They you just throw at him all day.
So you can risk your draft picks all you want. Go ahead. My bad, Akoye.
So somewhere we in between the Steelers
15
and the Seattle Seahawks.
15 is how we're going to get.
You look at the last 2 offenses that I can think of that were prolific in what they had on the other side of the ball. You think the greatest show on turf. They weren't. Dick Vermeil's team weren't a smash mouth defense. They were pretty small defensive line. They knew they had to play with a lead because they would get run on. That's how they stopped. They stopped the run with the lead. They didn't stop the run with guys like Snack Harris. They stopped the run by knew you weren't going to run. Period. So you think that you think that way in a defense that just has to get +1 to +2 turnover ratio, average that for the season. You get this offense back the ball. You guarantee yourself a lead, and you guarantee that you can coast through games in the second half because you're not getting the ball run down your throat in the third and fourth quarter because they can't afford to do it. They're running out of shotgun, they're running draw plays, and they're trying to throw the ball on you where they're one-dimensional, and your guys who want to pin their ears back can do that. And if you look at a modern version of that would be KC when they won the Super Bowl. They were an opportunistic defense that their job was not to shut everything down. Like, they're not Tampa Bay, they're not the Baltimore Ravens, and they're not the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're just guys that you just need them to force turnovers, which we were doing in the second half of the season. And if we carry that on into the next season where we're forcing turnovers, playing a little bit more opportunistic, Anthony Brown getting pick sixes, Jaylen almost got himself a pick 6. He didn't run out of gas. He just got caught. Well, I think McLaurin actually caught him right near the goal line. But you saw a lot of those plays. We were sparking a little bit, and you saw a lot of those plays coming on in the second half of the season. We just need to continue that and do a little bit more of it, and we are fine as is. So that's more so what we are. I don't look at us as a team, a defense that you just say, hey, let's trust this defense, and they're going to stop you, and it's going to be a 6-0 type of defense. We're not that type of defense. But if this offense puts this defense in position by getting the lead that a number one offense is supposed to be able to do, and that's without having to. You shouldn't have to come out and play, no huddle to destroy teams. You should be able to just come out and destroy teams because you're a good offense. And if we're doing that in the first quarter, this defense will be an afterthought. We're fine as is. We just need a guy who can communicate and get these guys to simplify that communication amongst each other. That's why you can't just have the coach on the sideline You have to have coaches on the field. That's why we need veterans sprinkled in there that understand Quinn's scheme. So I wouldn't be surprised if we go after, someone in this, that from Atlanta Falcons secondary or someone up front, but someone who knows his verbiage and terminology and how he wants things done, who can translate that and do those quick corrects pre-snap on the field. You ain't got time to ask the coach what I'm doing when you already got the play called and you sitting there looking around. Like, you got a guy to just tell you, like, yo, you get back there, or just organize them, whether it's in the secondary or up front. We need that. That's it.
I think 24 points is all you need. 24 points. If you can hold and look, that sound like a lot, but this football in 2021, if you hold the other team to 24 points, we'll be a 14-2 team. That's just how I feel. And I feel like I can go down the list and look at the games that we, like lost or whatever, like in the DAC time or whatever. I feel like even whenever, right? If you look at it, be like, man, if we put these points here, we only lose like one game. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because besides that, Dak gonna move. I got so much faith in Foe, dog. I know y'all hate hearing me hype up the offense because I'm offense guy. Y'all like defense. It's you and Foots and all of y'all like defense. I'm offense guy. This offense is what's gonna put us over the edge. We just need the defense to simply not be the worst defense I've ever seen in my life. And that's all I got to do, man. And that's what it's been. I'm going to take some super chats, and I'm going to look Akoye real hard in the camera and ask him a question, and then I'm going to ask Law. I'm actually going to ask Law first, and then I'm going to ask Akoye. But Adrian Dyson dropped 5 in the super chat. He says Dallas defense in 2019 ranked 11 in pass D and 10th in run D. Richard, what's the excuse? I don't know what you're saying, player. Okay, he's saying why weren't we
Same
good?
defense had better stats.
Yeah. But
that's a good question. That's the reason why I brought up the point. Like, is our ceiling the Steelers? Because the year before, before they had Minka Fitz, remember they was 8-8. They was like the defense is not being the way they were looking like this year. Now the defense was looking better or what have you because they went and made some few acquisitions and a few things to help out to complement that team. Now, do we have a Bud Dupree? No. Do we have a TJ Watt? No. But we got, we got D-Law. We got some pieces that we can probably look at. And draft time, Voch, man, he can probably point out some people that can really help elevate this team on the defensive side of the ball, which I'm going to ask him some questions on. So, or we can just do this thing right here.
Not right now.
Simmons and a whole bunch of stuff out there.
Not right now. Hold it, because I got these.
Go ahead.
I got these. I'm responding to that. Then I'm gonna hit y'all, and then we can get in the draft. But to answer Adrian's question, so you can handpick defensive stats, and that'll be what it is. Like, we weren't terrible in that fashion. Okay, so we was 8-8. If Aaron Jones doesn't have 400, not 400, but if Aaron Jones doesn't have 4 touchdowns, then we win that game, 9-7. If Mitch doesn't look great, we're 10-6. If Sam Darnold doesn't look great, if we're not playing in a hurricane in damn New England or whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you can look at a defensive number there, but I more so want the game by game, you know what I'm saying, situations, and then that'll result in us being just not ranked the worst defense of all time. Appreciate you, though, Adrian, dropping that 5. Lamont dropped 10. He says, remember Leslie Frazier wasn't great in Minnesota as a head coach, but he's killing it in Buffalo. Yeah. Sure. If you take away the responsibilities of game management and just overall organization, just tell Dan Quinn to just run the defense, it'll probably be a little better. Appreciate you. That was a good one. Jimmy dropped a tray. He says, you think the Cowboys should reach out to Demarcus Ware? No. Just because he pass rush don't mean he's a good overall teacher. You know what I mean?
Right.
Okay. I'm about to
ask.
And
a lot of the things he did, you can't really teach it.
You can't. But if so, not as a coordinator, but as probably like a positional coach, like what Big Cat do, Leon Lett.
And like what he did with Charles Haley when he used to come in training camp. Just let him give some pointers, but let him work his way up that way.
100%. I'm gonna ask both of y'all gentlemen a question, and then we're gonna fuss at Law because he be letting people run his draft chat box, or they run his chat box in terms of draft, and Law be like, oh yeah, cool, we can draft this terrible player in the second round. So I just want to let Law ask all this questions. So Law, but as of now though, moving forward, does Jaylen Smith does he have a place on this team?
He do. I think that the ownership, they in love with him, they in business with him. And I could be 1,000% wrong, like I'm most of the time is when I take these type of things. But Jerry Jones did say that he is a cornerstone of this defense, and maybe they're looking at it like Quinn came in with promises of saying, hey, I can help improve him because I worked out with these guys. Maybe that was his way of getting into the Dallas Cowboys.
I'm not trading Michael Gallup for no damn J.J. Watt. We all stop it. Brother.
Oh, no. What they doing? What they
Brother
talking
Akoye, does Jaylen Smith have a future on this team?
You know what I'm gonna say, bro. You don't throw away. You don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, man. I think Jaylen has now. The reason Jaylen's taking a hit this year is because he showed so much promise over the last couple years. We were expecting a breakout year. So Jaylen's play versus where he should be at this level of his career, yeah, you can be a little disappointed. But Jaylen falling off a cliff and being a bum, you have to take that into consideration. Everything that we talked about. This is a COVID year. They didn't get it. They didn't get it off season, and he might not be the most cerebral guy. He might not be that guy, and obviously he's not. Like, I don't want to call him. I'm not saying he's a dumb player, but he might not be a cerebral guy. Sure. And you have a guy who has now a load of plays that he didn't. He's not accustomed to in a new scheme. He had to learn a new scheme, and he's not the fastest player when it comes to assessing post snap anyway. And now he's trying to figure out where he's supposed to be on top of that. And I think that's what you saw this year, not a guy who just forgot how to play. And confidence is important. When you're not confident in what you're doing, it's going to show in your play. When you're not confident in what's being told to you and in the way you're being used, it's going to show in your play. So I think Jaylen has afforded himself the right to a bad year. And I don't even think this was a horrible year. It's not the greatest because of where we thought he should be. If this was Jaylen's rookie year, you'd be like, oh, he'll be all right. But it's not. It was his rookie year as far as taking on more responsibility than what was given when he was under the Richard's regime. And you saw what he was doing with his second year under Eberflus, who went to the Colts.
Koya, this was a bad year, though. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. Koya, you my guy. This was a bad year by
everybody, though. But my point is, why is Jaylen, like we watched J. Lou get destroyed as far as like pass interference calls and holding calls all year. You watch Cheeto get beat a lot. You watched Diggs, who didn't make plays, get beat a lot as well. You watch this entire team.
Don't make this about them. We talk about Jaylen, dog. Don't make this.
When we do that,
don't bring Cheeto into this.
It's the same effect that it has on you when we talk just about Connor Williams and we say Connor's a bump. You watch things going on around him, though. You watch everything else. It's not like the entire offensive line was playing solidly. He was that's just it. You know what I mean?
But if you say
Okoye,
but if you say hold on,
Jaylen is just it.
Hold on, but if you say
Jaylen to talk and not LV ever.
But if you say, oh, Voch, Connor Williams had a bad game, I'm not gonna say, well, what about Terrence Steele bad game? Now they both they both had bad games.
Why he had them. I'm just telling you why they are. Like in the narratives that get pushed don't make a lot of sense because every time he makes a play, we don't say, all right, well, this game erases the bad game he just had last game. We'll say, oh, he knows Jason Garrett's scheme. That's why he played good this game. It's an excuse when he plays well. And then when he doesn't play well, it's like kick him off a bridge. When LVE can't get on the field, and when he does get on the field, he plays, to me, very soft and tentative. And you got a guy like Joe Thomas on the bench behind him and Shaw Lee behind him. No one says anything about that. You know what I mean? No one talks about him. He can't even stay on the field, and when he's on the field, he plays like a big powder puff. But nobody talks about that. You see what I'm saying?
For 2021, where will you play Jaylen?
The defense for 2021 is back. I'm like, how? How, Sway?
For 2021,
listen to him, Koye. Listen to Okoye. Go ahead, Lo. Answer this question.
Where are you going to play Jaylen for 2021? Where are you going to play him? Because we know Sean Lee is not back, right?
Yeah, he's not.
So where are you going to play him?
Well, like I said, look at Deion Jones and look at Olokum. Olokum's more of an athlete. He's not a guy that you want in cut pass situations or coverage situations, but he is a striker and an athlete that when he's asked to attack, you saw what he was able to do against Zeke, and that's hard to do. Jaylen is similar. He's more of a Sam-style guy, a guy that you want attacking the line of scrimmage and really playing with reckless abandonment. So you want him to be able to not think post-snap. So I think you move him to a Sam and use him that way. And you have to hope that LVE, Joe Thomas, or whoever we draft can come in and play the middle linebacker position. And I think we're fine with that. Jaylen is not a patient guy that you want trailing. They tried to use him like Sean Lee initially. We want him to be a will or a guy that assesses and reads and reacts later. He's not that guy. He's not that guy. You want him attacked.
But the reason why I'm saying this is because the moment you put Jaylen out there, offensive coordinator Voch, he's going to see how can I put Jaylen in isolation.
Yes, sir.
How can I make him one-on-one with my linebacker, with my running back, with my tight end or the fullback? I'm trying to pick and probe and point at Jaylen.
But that's
just how the team game plan against us.
But that's
what the Washington team did.
Yeah.
Thomas caught all over Jaylen.
Yeah.
If you was paying a loss, hey, that first one, man, he was just all over Jaylen. And then several other teams did that. They isolated Jaylen.
Right.
And they put him in an uncompromised position to use his hips out in space. And he got the tackle, but it was 10 yards, 15 yards later.
Right. And I agree with that, right? But that's no different with any team. Every team looks for mismatches on the opposing defense, and then they take advantage of those mismatches. Jaylen is a mismatch when it comes to putting him into obvious passing situations or when you're spreading him out wide. He is. I won't lie there. But that's not what he should be doing anyway. But I don't. Again, when we say that, I don't see the same level of discontent when you see LV poke into a hole. He's looking at Lamar Jackson directly, and then runs out of the gap, and Lamar Jackson runs off for a touchdown. I don't see the same level of discontent when it happens on the other end of the ball. See what I'm saying?
We've been hating on Vander Esch too. It's just that we only talking about Jaylen right now.
Nobody's trying to kick him off a bridge. And to me, I feel like if you're going to ask which one of those two should be on the field, it's Jaylen, not LVE.
Well, see what it is though, Akoye, and this is just a real life side of it. And I'm just talking about the Cowboy fans that's saying this. Jaylen's money is making people not like him as much. But with my whole thing about Vander Esch should be a will linebacker anyway. And I've been saying this since I don't even want to be told so guy. But he's a will linebacker. And let me cut both of them some bail, right? Let me just kind of, you know what I'm saying, for both of them. It ain't like we got interior D tackles that'll make them look better. So let me just say that. I feel like if this year in particular, if we were better, and this could be because Gerald got hurt, it could be because Tristan got hurt, whatever. If we were better on the inside, both of them probably look better. What I'm saying is, just as of now, I'm looking at Jaylen, I'm looking at Vander Esch. I know I got another rookie year in Vander Esch. Well, just money wise, we ain't got that with Jaylen. So if we ain't fixing interior D line,
see, this is where you get messed up, though.
It'll be easier to put Vander Esch at will. You know what I'm saying? Than try to figure out what's going on, because we can't put both of them at will, because both of them are linebackers.
You're right.
Go ahead.
You're right. But you want to win or you want to talk contracts? I want the best player on the field, man.
Sure.
That's why I said Joe Thomas. I can care less about either one of these guys. Joe Thomas needs to play over both of them, in my opinion, but we know that's not happening.
Akoye, what if I told you Tulsa got a kid named 20 he's named Zaven Collins. He wears number 23, and I want you to go watch film on him, and you just plug his ass in there, and I'll take him at 10. What if I told you I'll take him at 10 and I like him better than Parsons, goddammit? What if I told you that, Akoye?
What if I told you that? Trash now.
This Voch. What if I told you that? What if I told you that, Akoye?
I watched live the kid from number 47, Skewski or Ski School. I don't know his name, but I think it's from Clemson actually.
What school?
From Clemson, number 47 from Clemson.
Okay,
nice man.
I ain't
nice. He reminds me of that dude, Josie Jewell. I think his name is the dude that
I don't like Josie Jewell. All right,
he's a smart guy that just plays. He played real hard. Nice dude. I like him late. If we went like third round, fourth round with him, I would like him.
That means he's slow. That means he's slow.
What you like about
that
Collins kid though, Voch? His coverage ability or his downhill pass rushing ability more? What do you like about him? Quick on that one.
So think about Zaven Collins, right? When you watch him, I want my linebackers to not be caught thinking, and you can tell when linebackers thinking because they feet stop. You never see Zaven feet stopping; they always moving. I like my linebackers to be able to chase things backside, perfect angle, make hits. I want my guys to be able to thump. I want my guys to be able to deal with offensive linemen. He's big as hell. He's probably bigger than all the other linemen. He's like 6 whatever,
260,
200 and mad pounds, right? But he
Yeah,
moved just as good as the rest of them. He feels natural in coverage, great instincts, great all that. And you can put I sincerely feel like you could put him at any linebacker. I know we say that a lot, or just draft guys say that a lot. You don't put Michael Parsons at any linebacker. I don't think he fits that necessarily. Zaven Collins can fit Sam, Mike, and Will, in my opinion. And I like that dude so much. I would take him at 10, and I wouldn't lose sleep. I don't think we should take him at 10 because I think another player I'm about to address in a second with the super chat here will be there at 10, and this guy is better than him. But if that dude's gone, give me Zaven Collins, linebacker from Tulsa. Y'all can write that down and take notes on that if you want to. I got a super chat from Andrew. He dropped 5 in there. He says the same defensive roster minus a few guys held the Saints to 10 points in 2017. So maybe personnel isn't a big issue as people think. Sure, it's probably something that's going on within, and hopefully Dan Quinn can fix that. Appreciate you. And Vaughn from Shreveport, he says, let's draft offense at 10th overall since there's no true top 10 defensive value there. Let's score 50 since obviously 40 wasn't enough. Iron sharper iron. Appreciate you, Vaughn. Go ahead, Lo.
No. I was just laughing at his question there because he said score 50. We're in a weird spot because we drafted at 10. And I know you're the draft guy. Would you go with? And I've seen some mock drafts out there with the Slater kid. Would you go with the Slater kid and then tell Quinn from here on out have the rest of the toys belong to you? Would you do that philosophy? Because I think that was kind of like your philosophy last year. Like, hey, get CeeDee Lamb, and hey, the defense, hey, y'all can do whatever y'all can want to do from here. Would that be the same situation for this year, Voch?
My whole thing about Lamb last year is where we were on the board. If we was to get Lamb at 17, and which we did, he would be the egregious, we got to pick this dude because nobody else talent-wise would be adding up to him. So what makes this different is that we're at 10 this year. So if we're in a situation where it's like offensive guy and 3 defensive guys that you feel almost as good about, then you got to go defensive guy because that's where we need it at the most. I just think so highly of Rashawn Slater. He's my tackle number 1, by the way. I just think so highly of Rashawn Slater. I'll do it all over again. I will take offense right at number 10 and be like, hey, look, I'm sorry. I promise just draft well for the rest of it. In my mind, I think he's that good of a tackle prospect that you could take that dude, plug him in there, and he'll be good to go for the next however many or whatever years. In my mind, also, Law Nation, and you can take this back to your audience because they be bothering me. Because I be watching your show, man. They be like, yo, Voch, whatever, tell Law to go watch Jaylen Twyman from Pittsburgh. Can we get him in the first round? He's Aaron Donald. No, he's not. Shut up. In my mind, what's so good about the Cowboys situation? The places that we need the egregious help are where we can draft later on because that's where the value says. So we need one tech, off-ball linebacker, and like safety. Those positions don't really go high first round anyway. You see what I'm saying? So in my mind, we'll be fine just – okay, if we were going to get a one tech, we was going to get him in the second round anyway. If we're going to get a safety, we'll get him second, third round anyway. So why not spend that first pick on the best player there? And that could be corner. But in my mind, if it's Voch, this is just an early talk. This could all change next week. I'm looking at Northwestern offensive tackle Rashawn Slater. He's beating the shit out of Chase Young. I may or may not drop a film on him as soon as we finish this. I may have it queued up. Or who I just say, Zaven Collins, linebacker from Tulsa. Those are my 2 early picks at 10 overall.
Would you rather have Collins or you rather have the interior guy, Barmore?
Barmore is cool, and Barmore made himself a lot of money last night. But this is my problem with Barmore. This is my problem. Just like last night, I can watch some other film, right? Say you watch the Auburn film. Say you watch the Texas A&M film, right? You don't see him for the whole first and second quarter. He doesn't exist.
Adrian to be in there.
Doesn't exist. And if you actually think about it, if you look at him, he's a rotational guy. He comes in and he only plays about 25, 30 a game, right? And
That's not the guy. You're right.
And he's not there first and second quarter. But in the third quarter, something happened. One of twin powers activate, and the motherfucker just tears shit up for the whole third quarter, and then he sits down in the fourth quarter. So what he is he's a weird build, right? He's a pass rushing one tech. Basically, that's how they use him. So, is he going to help you much in the run? Hey, is he gonna?
Let me ask you this though.
It's the reason Adrian was in there in the first place. There's a reason number 48 gets in,
Sure.
and that's because he's a two-gap and run stuffing guy. He doesn't get a lot of sacks. He don't get
Right.
upfield, but you're not running through his gap.
Yeah.
And Barmore, I think he's a liability when it comes to running situations. So that's why they don't use him in that way. He can get
Because
upfield
he
in
shoots
second
up
half.
so quick.
Second half, if you up or if you need to get after a quarterback, you put him in there.
That's where it
But
gets
he's
fun.
not the guy to set the tone for the game, and that's what we need.
That's where it gets fun because if you just happen to be beating the shit out of a team and they got to throw for the whole second half, do you think you would love to have Barmore there? But my problem is the Cowboys give up 300 rushing yards a game.
Right.
That's my only
But
problem.
don't crucify me with this then.
No, you
So
go.
how far off is he from Chris Jones? Because coming out of college, how far off is that Chris Jones? Is his ceiling or where he's at?
I think
Barmore.
Barmore has a high ceiling, but I'm not ceiling guy. So what you're gonna ask yourself with this draft is, are you floor guy? The high floor, you know what you getting, you know exactly what it is. They may get a little better than this, and then there's ceiling guy, that the guy that's cool now, but if they get to their highest point, they could super explode and be something greater. So that's what you got to ask yourself. So Barmore is a very situational guy right now as his floor. Can he get better? Can he learn how to penetrate a little more? He got traits. The dude quick. The dude got hands. He has some natural ability. But you can only use him in one place now. Can he get better? I don't know. Chris Jones was a guy to where Chris Jones was playing in a system where he wasn't being used properly. They was trying to two-gap with him. But Seattle just say, "Hey, look, get in B gap and bust ass." That's what. I'm not Seattle. KC, Kansas City.
Yeah,
Kansas City be like, "Hey, get in B gap and bust ass," and that's what he does really well. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't doing that at Mississippi State. Barmore is playing where you would play him at, unless you want to put him at 3-tech or something. But he's just a pass rushing guy that plays 25 snaps for you. He could be a good player. I'm not saying he's trash, but Barmore is a guy that you just take later on in the draft.
I agree, and I actually like that philosophy too, Voch. Going because of what we need. You don't need a safety early unless you're getting Hamza Nasiruddin. I like him.
Nasruddin, yep.
Yeah, he
Florida
could play
State.
both. He could play both safety positions. I think he's a good complement with Wilson. You'd be dangerous back there. But outside of that, I don't think you go safety early. Corner, we can afford to get a corner in the second and third round as well. And there's talent there. And then defensive line, we can afford to go second and third round with that as well. So I wouldn't have if there was a pick that I would say we would go top 10 with, I wouldn't have a problem with offensive line because I think that was our biggest issue this year. I think that was our biggest issue for the defense too. To be honest with you. So,
Also, too, gentlemen, man, let me just say this since we got 700 people watching, man. Let me just say, I don't hate safety. There's this notion going around that Voch hates safety. It's just that in my mind, I know what safety is. I know the problem that safety is, and I know that we get caught up in a situation where not us on this round on this circular crescent table, but people will get into an anybody but mindset. Once upon a time, it was anybody but Jeff Heath. It was anybody but whoever. But what happens is you end up getting worse if you have that mindset. You would love to have Jeff Heath now. So what
I'll
happens?
take you back in a heartbeat.
So what happens is it's a situation where you look and you'll be like, Voch, what about Adderley coming out from Delaware? What about Taylor Rapp? What about Thornhill? What about these guys? And you want these guys because they're names in the draft that year. But what you end up noticing is they get drafted second, third, fourth round, but they end up being rotational guys because they're not special. You just wanted anybody. Like Thornhill was cool. He's a rotational guy now. Taylor Rapp is a special teams player, and he ain't even starting. The damn Fuller kid taking reps over him.
What happened to Apke?
Sure. The one kid that runs faster than everybody else. Sure. The white kid from Clemson, I think. So what happens is you may overrate safety because you want safety bad. I don't overrate safety. I look at safety for what it is. So you may look at a guy like Paris Ford, be like, yo, Voch, I saw this Paris Ford highlight tape. I saw this Andre Cisco highlight tape. We got to get those dudes. And in my mind, I'm like, them dudes ain't even better than Xavier Woods.
Yeah.
Xavier Woods do more than them.
It's like going grocery shopping when you're hungry, man. You're gonna grab everything. You're gonna throw it in the cart. That's it. So it's the same thing. We want the safety so bad, we bump them up and overvalue them. I get you, and I agree with you.
Yeah, and I see where you coming from with that. Now, like we say, not better than Xavier Woods, meaning that they're at that point because their ceiling might be higher, right? Because Xavier Woods, I don't think that he's gonna be back this year for 2021, especially if they're gonna kick him at the top, and they're gonna switch your boy at the robber role, Wilson. You're gonna keep him a little closer around. That'd be more of the same, right?
Yeah.
This was so good about Donovan. Donovan good enough to play both.
Yeah,
he's gonna play both, but he'll really tear shit up at strong safety. That's what he'll really tear it up.
Yeah.
Also, here's another notion, and I would like for y'all to tap into this, and then we can get into some safety talk. This is probably going to be more of a cover 3 type of scheme or whatever. So you don't want Donovan Wilson being the one high guy by himself, but if he's one high playing trips with 2 other guys high, I think he can give you some cover 3 free safety. What do y'all think about Donovan Wilson in that role?
Well, yeah.
Well, you watch him when he was playing in that preseason game against the Texans. He was playing primarily under Richard. They had him single high. They very rarely brought him down into the box anyway. He wasn't really playing that often though. But he showed that he had range in that Texans preseason game. So he can sort of like Heath. He can play sideline to sideline. Heath was better in the box, but you can ask him to play sideline to sideline over the top, and he could do it. It's just that with the limitations of Woods, it kind of hampered him this year because Wilson had to play off or play back because Woods couldn't really man it anywhere. It didn't matter where you put him. So it's like if you put him in the box, he was getting run over. If you put him over the top, he was, there was a lot of miscues, right? So I feel like Donovan, like you said, he's best used if you can use him in a versatile way, meaning he can blitz, he can cover tight ends out of off the line of scrimmage, and he can roam the middle of the field and wreak havoc like he did against Cooks and so on. And I think against Cooks, he was actually coming from that single high position when he hit him too. But so he can do it, but you don't want him doing both. I think you want him in the box, like you said. But if you asked him to do it, I don't think you'd be pissed off by that because he showed that he has the range, more range, and he plays faster than his 40 time would say. Sure. He has a lot of range. And he plays bigger than his size too, because believe it or not, he's the same size as Woods, about an inch off, same weight. But he, you couldn't tell from the way he hit.
Yeah. So it's not a whole bunch of safeties I like this year. I would like to draft one of them only if the price is right. I just don't overact. I would rather build my D line than draft safety. That's just how that's just me in general.
Yeah, that makes safeties better anyway. So you're right.
There you go. I don't think there's any first round picks this year, but if you're gonna get a guy, you want to get Morig from TCU. You want to get Ardarius Washington from TCU. You want to get Nasruddin from Florida State. He's really good. And what I like about those guys is that they can work together with Donovan Wilson. You know what I'm saying? So
they're both interchangeable, yeah.
They would match.
It's more of a complementary. And what I'm looking at too is what our DBs. Mm-hmm. We got lukewarm type of DBs. Mm-hmm. And I'm not throwing Diggs into that boat until I see next year and the following year. But you know what I'm talking about, Akoye. Mm-hmm. When Cheeto Awuzie press, okay, all right, cool, you pressing. But then we look at it, then he plays so soft, he don't press all day. Like, I want a corner that be all day press. None of this, okay, now I'm going to back off. Like, I saw this week, Wade. Yeah. Wade, I'm not saying that he's a dog or anything, but he'll get his ass whooped, but at least he still stayed inside and still gave that work action of pressing. Now, and on the flip side, on the opposite side, of course, we saw Surtain. He pressed. He stayed there. He didn't. He knew that he had over-the-top help, but he stayed and played his side of the field, and he owned it. And then they said, fuck it, I'm not even going to throw that way, So I don't know whether or not we have that. Now, I know Diggs can be that guy, but I know that Anthony Brown, like you said earlier, he's more of a zone guy. Yeah. And also with Cheeto, it's just an off and on type of situation. So what type of defense we going to do with this? Because the mentality – when the Seattle Seahawks was doing it, Brownie or whatever his name is, the guy from CFL, whatever, he came over there, and Richard Sherman, they was hard press guys all day.
Well, how do y'all like this, right? Like, you see how, and I'm not saying he is Honey Badger. Don't don't say that I said this, but there's a reason why Cheeto can't press. He never was pressing in college. It's not his thing. He was playing inside or playing safety. Safeties don't press. Neither do nickel guys usually, right? And that's where he was. So he doesn't have that's not his thing. So how do you feel about using Cheeto in that type of role where instead of going out and getting a single high guy, you put Cheeto out there single high and roll him into the slot if need be in certain packages instead of saying, hey, let's go get a guy that, like you said, that can press on the outside and shore that up. Because I would like the same thing. I don't like when we play that shading stacks coverage where we look like we're pressing, but then wind up chasing the guy like Anthony Brown's always doing. You see Jordan Lewis always doing it. You see Cheeto always doing it. They're down there. Right. They look like they're about to press you. Then they let a guy run right by him. I'm saying if you're going to do that, and that's probably why the coaches are saying it or why they adjust and wind up doing it. You might as well play off if you're going to let a guy run right by you anyway. See what I'm saying? So I'd rather you miss big with the press and get your ass beat at the line of scrimmage than not press at all. And that's what all three of those guys do. So move him inside. Move him inside or get him out of here. That's what I think. Roll him inside, put him at safety, or get him out of here. I think Cheeto can play single high safety better than Woods was doing for sure.
Akoye, wait a minute. Me and you have cussed 6 times apiece on this show so far. No, you good. You good. But listen, nobody noticed though. Akoye, listen, nobody noticed because I'm Voch and you Akoye, right?
Right.
Law Nation cuss. There's a couple people to chat about. Hey man, did Law cuss?
It slipped. Hey, promise to God, man, it slipped out.
I didn't even hear it.
Because that's one of my pet peeves, man. Oh my goodness, that's one of my pet peeves with Cheeto because he got this. Look, he got everything that God wants you to have as it relates to a defensive back. Right. He got the size, the height. He even got the speed.
And he'll hit you.
He'll hit you. But I'm sitting there like, what are you? I'm gonna quit before I start cussing, man. I'm looking at him.
Nah, you good. Just demonetize my show, and then when you go back to yours, you clean it up and get all your money. It's like
I like that move though. I think Cheeto needs to be able to play safety or play in a primarily zone position. He can play some man, but I think if you use him in nickel situations or as a roll-up safety where if we're in our base formation, you roll him down into the slot, and he plays nickel in those situations. I wouldn't have a problem with Cheeto doing spot work at the nickel back position, but mainly playing safety. And he has the speed, the physicality, and the instincts to be able to play safety, I think, a lot better than corner. And it's the Byron Jones effect. Byron Jones was a better corner because of his lack of ability to kind of use his instincts, and it still shows in this game today. But Byron Jones was better at corner when you just ask him, just stop that guy. Don't try to think about anything else. Just stop that guy. That's all we need you to do because you can't do nothing else.
But see,
Cheeto's a guy that he's not stopping that guy. Cheeto's a guy that you want playing with his instincts. So until you see someone use him that way, I'm not one of those guys that hold out hope for Cheeto, and I'm not holding out hope for Jaylen. I'm just looking at it like just as a coach or an analyst would. Like he hasn't been used in the way he should be used yet. So you got to hold out enough respect for his a level of play to say that if you used him and just tried him in a different position, I think that it might work wonders for him for this team because I like Cheeto.
But see, Koye, that's the problem, though. It ain't about what we'll do because Will's in charge. We'll win a Super Bowl, Koye. We'll win a Super Bowl. Will's in charge. But are they going to put Cheeto at nickel? Are they going to put him at strong or at free? I don't think so. They're not going to do it. So we just going to have to end up drafting somebody because they're not going to move. Yeah. And I don't even know if Cheeto gets brought back anyway. I don't even know if you even spend the money to bring him back anyway. I think we should. Go ahead, Lo.
Or they might just throw us a loop around here and just put Jordan Lewis at that top and then keep and it could happen. Jordan Lewis at top at the safety role, and
Jordan can jump off a bridge right now for me.
Because one of the reasons why Jordan Lewis, when he get beat, he grabbing on to something.
Yeah, he can jump off a bridge.
So I don't think at that safety role he gonna hold on to people way up that top.
He's a short tackler though, right? But I like Cheeto. I like Cheeto's instincts in zone a lot better than anybody on this team right now.
I'm also out on Jaylen. Yep.
Well, I ain't hear you.
Not Jaylen. Yeah. Jaylen. Jordan Lewis. I am also out on Jordan Lewis. Yeah.
Y'all both throwing him off the bridge.
I'm out on Jordan Lewis. Vaughn came back and dropped another 5 in the Super Chat. He says, Law. Pastor Tan, Daddy played Clemson OC not to pass to. Okay, he paid the Clemson's offensive coordinator to not pass to his side. Don't mess my son's money up. Okay. I got it. To be fair, I do think if they would have attacked Surtain a little bit more, he would look a little bit different. I know he got problems with speed. They played 2 teams in a row that got guys with speed. Nobody tried him. I thought that was interesting, but
yeah, it was.
Whatever.
He got quickness, but he don't got speed. That's the weirdest thing, huh? He's quick, but he's quicker
Diggs
than
too, though.
fast.
Diggs is the same way. He's a quick guy. He's not necessarily super fast. He just, if he gets his hands on you, he can stay on top of it.
But this is my thing about Diggs, though. I know Diggs can cover. Hold on, give me a second. I know Diggs can cover Cooper Kupp, Julio Jones, DK Metcalf, Odell Beckham, because I saw him do it. Odell Beckham, Nuke Hopkins, Fulgham.
Yeah, a little bit of everybody, right? He can cover anybody.
Then he got hurt or whatever. So at least I know Diggs is the number 1 corner right now. At least I know that.
Right.
And we found that guy in the 2nd round somewhere. You know what I mean? So hey, maybe on to something.
Not bad.
Did you fellas have anything that y'all wanted to touch on before we wrap this thing up?
No, I think we went over it. I really wanted to jump on and talk about Quinn because I was like I was a little excited by it because it's a coach, like I said, that can come in, has experience winning at that level. I think getting him back to, his coordinator position might bode well for his career and for this team. And last time he was a defensive coordinator, you had a prolific defense in the Legion of Boom. So I would like to see, the 2.0 of that. So I was ready to talk about Quinn, and I think we covered that and a lot of the players I was interested in discussing, like Randy included. So no, I'm good, man.
I think the chat box saying it's Miss Jackie's birthday. So if y'all fellas don't mind, would y'all
just
wish
Miss Jackie
happy birthday. Happy birthday, Miss Jackie.
Happy birthday, Miss Jackie.
There you go.
Appreciate you. She just texted me. I'm gonna text you, Miss Jackie. Appreciate you.
Miss Jackie better not be texting you. she better not be texting a lot. Nell Bundy dropped the dudes in Super Chat, says, been saying Cheeto is a free safety. I feel you. And Big B dropped 5 and says, shout out to y'all fellas. Y'all think Quinn's scheme could get our current linebackers playing to their strengths, or is it still something that we need to address? And obviously, hey, we don't know nothing. We'll see.
Well, look at Deion Jones is not he's not bad. I'm not gonna say he's not a bad linebacker, but he plays well due to the fact that their scheme over in Atlanta frees him up so he can run and play like the athlete he is. So it should work. I mean, in theory. But we had a lot of theories last year, so you're right, Botch. Let's see.
Yeah, let's just wait and see what. Let's
see how they use it.
Let's just see what happens. You find Law Nation everywhere at Laws Nation on his social media platforms. Akoye Media, he's everywhere. Akoye Media, accumulating knowledge over years of experience.
That's a dope name.
Fire. Hold on. Maybe just one time. Hold on, dog. We just ain't finna walk out like that. Hold on, just one time. That's crazy.
Appreciate it.
And I'm Voch Lombardi. And of course, I'm Voch Lombardi. Black Panther DD, appreciate you for dropping the dudes in Super Chat. Hey man, this was a crescent table. We got to get Foots in there. Foots is using his laptop nowadays, so his connection is a little more sturdy. Next time we do this, it'll include Foots. It's draft season, so Law's gonna be covering draft stuff. Akoye is gonna be covering draft stuff. I'm Voch. You know what I do. So just find you a home somewhere and just watch everybody.
Get in where
man.
you fit in. You can't miss.
Voch.
Yes,
tonight, man, we're going to have this shameless plug, by the way, for the late night hype.
Go ahead.
We have your boy, Barry Church, man. Do y'all have a list of questions y'all want me to ask him, from y'all?
Yeah, ask him who his favorite safety enforcer was prior to him. Ask him that.
There you go.
Prior to him.
There you go. Okay. Ask him who's his motivation at box safety. Chat box, if y'all have any questions, you can leave them right now. Log over there and look and write them down so they can have something to ask Barry Church. And hey man, appreciate y'all for tuning in. Doski Woski, the Peace Whiskey is free. Y'all hold it down, man. Peace.
Peace.
From the middle.